Hello, welcome to Newscentre with me, Parikshit Luthra. Focus today on Indo-American trade and commerce ties. At the U.S.-India Business Council's India-Idea Summit, we caught up with Myron Brilliant, the Vice President of the U.S. Chambers of Commerce. He stressed on the importance of both nations coming to an agreement on digital standards and cross-border data flows. Brilliant added that all American companies are looking at India as a market which can deliver 7% growth and has a lot of potential in advanced manufacturing capabilities amid geopolitical risks related to China and the Ukraine-Russia war as well. I began by asking him about the road ahead for the India-U.S. trade deal. Let's listen in.
We had almost reached a mini trade deal towards the end of the Trump administration. What happened to that? As a chamber, are you still pushing for an India-U.S. FTA?
Well, honestly, I'd love to see the United States really back in the game on trade, period. We've been supportive of the U.S. administration's initiative around IPAF, and I think this Indo-Pacific economic framework is one that India and the United States need to work together on. We are obviously critically important is the U.S.-India relationship at large. I think there is an opportunity to make progress, whether it's in the digital space or in advanced manufacturing, dealing with services, dealing with a lot of other issues, ag. How we get there, whether it's piecemeal approach or making progress through ultimately a more comprehensive trade agreement, that's the goal. But short term, let's make progress in these really important areas like digital rules. Let's make sure we're moving on services more generally. And let's make sure we move some of those irritants on both sides. This needs to be a win-win for India and the United States. Too much is on the table, and we need to make progress.
Right. When you speak about the priorities, when you speak about digital trade, when you speak about services, exports, what, according to you, should be the near-term priority? You said that this can be addressed as a long-term package or on a piecemeal basis, but what, according to you, should be the immediate priority?
Well, that's a very good question. I think there are two areas. First, I think the United States and India need to continue making progress through the Trade Policy Forum, the TPF, and they're going to be another ministerial this fall. And there, that's dealing with agriculture and services and innovation agenda, tariffs and non-tariff barriers. That's very important. The second piece, of course, is to really push forward on a digital understanding between the two countries. And that means looking at technical standards. It means looking at cross-border data flows. These are really critical pieces that can be part of a more comprehensive digital trade agreement. And if I were to add a third element, it's making sure the United States and India are partners through the IPAF. There's work to be done, but we have to work bilaterally to make sure that regional initiative also moves forward.
Right. The irritants in the relationship that you mentioned that we need to do away with, what would those be?
Well, look, this is a time of great geopolitical uncertainty. We know all the reasons for that. We know we're coming still out of the pandemic, and India was hit so hard, as was the United States. Its economy suffered, and I think about all the people who lost their lives in India. Okay, we've come back from that, and India's come back in a very significant way with 7% growth this year. But we have challenges, geopolitical challenges. But India is in a region of instability, but India is not unstable. India is very stable and has strong political leadership. This is a time for India and the United States to put aside some of their irritants, work through those issues, and think in terms of the broader geostrategic significance of building this relationship. That's why working together through the Quad. That's why working together through IPAF. That's why thinking through a more enhanced economic partnership. And I would add to that, just looking at areas like advanced manufacturing. How do we advance India's own aspirations? Well, U.S. companies want to be here. Just last week, Brad Smith from Microsoft was here talking about how we advance digital rules. U.S. companies are here as part of our U.S.-India Business Council because they see India's strategic growth as a priority for them in terms of their global outlook.
Right. Also to ask you, in India right now, there is a lot of debate about the use of data by big tech companies, by large e-commerce giants. Is this something that you are talking to the Indian government also about, maybe expressing your concerns about as well?
Well, this is a priority issue, right? The United States, Europe, Australia, Japan, and India are major players in the digital space. You look at India's IT community, and you think about how India's economic growth has been through services. Not only agriculture and manufacturing play a role, but services has driven a lot of that growth. You think about the U.S. economy. We're a service-oriented economy as well. Again, we have manufacturing, ag, and other areas of our economy. But services is such a critical part. E-commerce, and I saw the comments from the Commerce Minister in the newspapers reporting out that, you know, the U.S.-India governments have an opportunity here because the Indian government recognizes the importance of moving ahead in trade policy and e-commerce, right? Part of that has to be in the digital space. We have to work together, okay? India has its sovereign nation, its own goals. The United States has a sovereign nation, its own goals. But we're not going to get together in a global community and advance digital trade if we don't work together. Everyone wins when we work together. That means the Europeans, it means the Japanese, it means the Australians, it means the Indian government, it means the U.S. government. A lot of work to be done, but there is a path forward, and there is down the road, I think, a digital agreement with India and the United States as two critical partners.
All right, so you're saying that there has to be consensus on digital trade and how we monitor and approach the use of data.
But yes, and how we do it is through advancing the right technical standards and advancing areas like cross-border data flows. This is an ongoing issue to be worked through. But I think if India gets it right, the United States gets it right, if Europe gets it right, and we're working together, that's going to enhance and really magnify global commerce. You already see a great expansion here in India's economy, but beyond just thinking about it from a domestic standpoint, think about it from a global standpoint and how India companies want to go global. And we know that already, right? And so more opportunities not just for large companies, for small and medium-sized enterprises that have to be a vibrant part of India's growing economy, as they are in the United States.
Okay. I'd also like to ask you about companies which want to shift base out of China, have a China plus one strategy. How important is the Indian market, and how do you see U.S. companies moving supply chains to India? We've seen Apple moving part of its supply chain to India for manufacturing its iPhone. Do you see more companies following suit?
Well, I think all companies are looking at the geopolitical risks associated with China and Taiwan. The flare-up there has caused some companies to think about rethinking their policies. And of course, China's policies around data and other areas has also caused U.S. companies to rethink it. It's not just U.S. companies, European companies and others as well. No question, also the conflict in Russia has also, 1,000 U.S. companies have pulled out of the Russian market. So they're looking for alternative markets. Where can you find growth at 7%? Where can you see a growing digital economy? Where can you see advanced manufacturing capabilities? India is that potential place. There are things that India is doing right now with its agenda that is making it more attractive. There's still work to be done in this country, and I think the Indian government understands that and is trying to do that. But I think the potential for more companies to diversify away from, say, China into markets like India is available. But India has such an advantage with high-skilled labor. Think about the engineers coming out of this country, the software developers. There's a lot here to be attracted to, and I think U.S. companies are taking a look at it. We hope we can deal with some of the draconian rules of trade and some other areas of concern. We want to be a partner to India. We're not telling India what to do. We're trying to encourage there to be an ecosystem that allows U.S. companies to make the investments. And by the way, those investments mean hiring Indian people. And you know what U.S. companies do. They hire India people and they pay them good money. And by the way, that's called smart business. And so I'm very excited by the future of India, and I'm excited by the future of U.S. investment in India.
Right. So some of those market access barriers, the draconian rules that you spoke about, which are some of those reforms that are needed, some issues that you see which really come in the way of doing business with India?
Well, I mean, we talk about the ease of doing business. There's still too much red tape in the market, right? There are still questions about the future of the health sector. There's still work to be done around data protection. There are areas of India. By the way, our country has rules that we don't always like. The U.S. Chamber is the largest business organization, not just in the United States, but globally. And I can assure you, we're telling our own government, where's our trade policy, right? We have things to do in our own country, right? Around immigration, around trade policy, right? Making sense of the environment and how we improve climate. And I think India has also its own challenges. And again, the United States Chamber of Commerce through our U.S.-India Business Council sees itself as a partner We're here to be a partner in the process of helping and encouraging the reform progress that's underway already in India.
All right, so that was Myron Brilliant saying that India is a big alternative, big opportunity for U.S. companies wanting to shift out of China. But at the same time, there are irritants in the relationship which must be done away with.